All right, folks, back to Darren 67 to 72, where on this week's episode, I'm going to work on a 1972 and Avalon Green. I need to get this project finished, and I finally got these parts to get it done. Now, I don't have the part number with me, the receipt's at home, but I'm not going to get into a lot of details. I know there's not a lot of guys doing this. If you are and you want more details, just send me a comment. I'll be sure to answer any of your questions I can. But for the rest of you that are just interested and think it's fun to watch putting this back together, original, or as close to it as we can, I'm just going to highlight through it, show you some things I found and some things that might be useful to you. So this POA looks virtually original. Now it is aluminum and shiny. And the original was, well, it was aluminum, but I think it was painted. Mine was. Nonetheless, they did a fantastic job of mimicking the original POA. But if you can see, there's nothing in there. If I got the view right, it doesn't really do anything. I mean, it's a place to attach all your hoses. It's got a charge port. It's going to appear as if it functions normally. Functions? I just said that wrong. How they did that, and by the way, this is the only company that offers this. We couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. Finally, my buddy there, Dave, that works on these a lot, he had done one, and the guy was like me and wanted it to look right. He did find this company. We looked it up right there while we were talking. They said they were out of stock. He called anyway. I wouldn't have done that because it never works for me. And they said, yeah, we got one. We'll send it out to you if you want. So I ordered it right up on the phone. Anyhow, this is the added part that wasn't original. I'm going to hide this. It's nothing more than a thermal switch. This is from an Old Air product. So again, Old Air seems to be the only company that does what I like. This part number doesn't apply, but this switch is a cycling switch. Everybody's going to it. It's virtually impossible not to. They make a cheaper one of these that doesn't look right, but functions the same. This was like $100 more. I don't know if it was worth it. I paid up $100. I don't know. I want it to look right. Why stop now? When you get that original look, you're going to pay up here and there. But we'll hide this switch. It just cycles the compressor. I did check on it. This is a cycling capable compressor, so that'll be fine. What I've got here is nuts and bolts for my bracketry, and I'm not going to bother you on how to do brackets because you're probably not going to do this anyway. And if you do, you might not have these issues. But I want to talk to you about how to make things, any things that you're dealing with, fit, and some tricks how to make them fit proper. So let me get you in. Okay, here on the table, I got a bunch of bolts I bought from the hardware store. Yeah, I got a mess out of them. And I just went in there and grabbed two of every bolt that I could find and every size I could find. And this is how they sell them. What I mean is, at my hardware, unless you got one better than me, they go by, I think it's 1/4 inch sizes. That's what it appears to be. But it doesn't seem to be enough. Sometimes you need that 1/8 inch, or this one. I think it's 1/4. Maybe it's half. I don't really know. But this is what I could buy. And over here, this is what I'm worried about. So this bolt is too long that they sold hardware. This one's too short. I took another one of these and I cut the end off, cleaned the threads up, and now I have the size I want in between. The question is, how would you really know? And I'll explain it right here on the bench. It's a neat trick. So if you tighten the bolt down, and this is funny because if you put this one in, it won't even catch a thread. You can feel it touching. Then when you put this one in, it sticks out 1 inch. Well, that doesn't make sense because it's not 1 inch longer, but just how it seems to work. What I do is you take your longer bolt, put an oversized washer on it, and tighten this down to a torque spec or thereabout, and see if you can wiggle that washer. If you can wiggle that washer at all, it's bottomed out. The second way you can tell is when you remove the bolt that was bottomed out, the end will be a little bit shiny or galled up where you bottomed it out. But I prefer to go with the oversized washer. Now I know that this one doesn't quite tighten, just a thread or two. So I took 3 threads off, and now I have the proper size bolt. So I'm going to work on that for a while. Let me show you what it is. So what I'm dealing with is this front bracket lining up this hole to this back bracket. And you see, it doesn't line up. Again, this is a replacement aftermarket exhaust manifold, ram horn. It had this extra bump on it that the originals didn't have. There's one in the back too. I ground it off. There's no hole. It must just be I'm going to call it an overcasting because it isn't really flashing. But I ground off as much as I needed, rounded it off, repainted this. I don't know if high temp paint's really going to help anything, but I did it. And then I did have to build a sleeve for the front to line up this hole. Now, this is where your compressor is going to go. So these holes need to be lined up without extra tension anywhere in this cast iron. And that's just a matter of wiggling it, playing with it, seeing if it's binding. You don't want side force on cast iron. This one probably won't break. This one probably won't either. I'm just being paranoid. But I finally got the right. I had to add one little washer spacing in the back and then this bushing in the front. And my holes lined up perfectly. I'm going to loosen this one last time and retighten it just to make sure everything's happy and comfortable, that there's no binding. So this is what I'm working on. And next time you see me, I'll be putting this compressor in. So that's it for right now. Hang on and we'll put that compressor in. All right, folks, I've got these brackets all in very tight. I ended up having to make almost every bolt, meaning cut the end off, clean it up, redo it. But this was my main concern, getting everything comfortably bolted, this smooth, these match up just as perfect as I can get them. Now, you want to double check, the bolt should just fit right through the hole. So we're in good, that's too small. But we're in good shape to put the compressor on. Let's give that a try. I haven't done that yet. So let me grab it right here, and we're going to try to throw that in there, and hopefully it fits. It should. If I can remember how it goes. Should go right there. Oh boy. That went a little smoother than anticipated. Nice snug fit, no bolts, and it's going to hold on there. And our adjuster, there's a bolt hole here, and it's threaded, and the casting goes through this heavy adjuster bracket. By the way, you won't see those anymore. What I mean is, this is a huge, thick piece of, I don't know, it's got to be at least a quarter, probably 3/8 or even bigger. And it's stamped, meaning it was cut on a press. There's a little bit of a angle or chamfer to it. It's rounded. It has a top and a bottom. You can clearly see the back one's the same way. Nowadays, they cut those on a laser jet or plasma. You'll never see a stamped one like that again. No real reason to. Just thought it was neat. So, hey, that fit in there pretty good. That's going to look pretty cool. I'm going to check my belt alignment while I'm standing here. Oh, boy. It ain't perfect, but I don't have it bolted in. Still got some jiggling to do, but it is almost spot on. Pretty excited. No, I haven't ordered my bracket yet. I'll do it tonight. I just want to make sure that I had everything right before I ordered it. Or I could still make one. We'll see. So now I got to get this bracket all figured out, get my right size bolts, washers on there, get the adjustment made. My belt's supposed to be in tomorrow, so we can do that. And I'll keep going on figuring out where my wiring's going to go. And I'll bring it back for more. All right, this is the mess I got going now. Well, real quick, I got the POA put in. Let me move it up in there. So right in here, this is interesting. I remember some of this, but it seems different. But it can't be. All the clamps are in original spots. The hose is identical. This is identical. All the fittings are exactly in the same spot. Went together really nice. I don't remember, and I do know this hook was in my old one. It's a 180-degree U, and it's gonna be a bear to get them heater hoses in there. They run almost straight into that thing. Now I know they're rubber and we can move them around, but boy, GM didn't give me any extra space here. Talk about all these old trucks having all this extra room everywhere, and they still got this kind of garbage going on. I'm sure it won't be a big deal. But what I got now, I got this part on there. There's a name for all this. I don't remember. But it's all bracketed the way it needs to be, and now I can flex this large hose, kink it around, just like original with a big kink in it. And these two fittings go in the back of this. Well, you can already see, I'm really putting some pressure on that to get that around there. So this has got a pretty hard bend. I don't like it, but it's what they had, I guess. And then we run into this problem. What do we got going on now? And this looks pretty kinked to me. I don't have any choice. This is just going to have to be what it has to be. I mean, it's going to have 100 and some pounds in it, but wow, that seems like too much. Something should have been bent different here, I would think. But doesn't matter. I can't get that in there because of this stupid bracket. Yep, more bracket problems. As much as I don't like that kink and hose, I'm more concerned with this bracket being in the way. Again, must be for the same compressors on another vehicle. So I went around the internet and tried to find more pictures. There's very few pictures. But this bracket that goes here to hold it, the adjuster, I thought adjusted here and bolts there because it's threaded. I'm wrong. The bracket bolts just to one ear of this air conditioning compressor, and the slider goes in here. That's where the adjustment's at. So this bracket is wrong for this vehicle. Well, enough's enough. I'm going for closest to original I can get. I'm going to modify this bracket. Basically, going to cut this top off, round it nicely on both sides, paint it back up. Then this kinky hose will be able to go in there and this part here won't hit. So that's what I'm up to next. All my other bolts lined up good. My other brackets are all nice, all bolted in nice. Yeah, I guess still got to put a nut and some washers on some things. But everything tightened up here good. I have to modify this, and we'll get back to this again tomorrow. I'm going to wrap it up for the day, but I'll be back in 2 seconds to you guys have this modification. I probably will build my own bracket here, but that's for tomorrow. See you in 3, 2, 1. All right, we're back at working on a 1972 C20 and Avalon Green air conditioning. I got somewhere. I made it kind of happen, but there was a lot of folks. There's a lot of time into doing these. Have I said it before? Don't do it. Roll your windows down. I got to have my air conditioning. This came with it. I want to do it. You get all that. I'm going to say an aftermarket one might have been easier. I don't know. But this is what we got, and this is what we're working on, and I'm going to show you what I did. Lots of fiddling, lots of little work to be done. Let me get you in there. Folks, what I've done, I got this air compressor. I always call it that because it is an air compressor. Air conditioning compressor put in here. I had to modify that rear bracket. Nobody has a picture of one. Nobody sees them. I don't know what they're even supposed to look like. You basically can't see it. I don't care anymore. I put this muffler on here. That's what they call that. This is an interesting collaboration, and it is the way GM did it. I did have to get my own P clamp up here. This is a rubber line one. We're going to talk about that for a minute, but I can't express enough. Put isolators on any aluminum tubing you have. I've seen it way too many times where the aluminum tubing rubs on something steel, a sharp edge that somebody didn't clean up somewhere, maybe here or down underneath. And it will wear through this aluminum, and it doesn't even take that long. Then you've got to buy this whole part again, and people are like, forget it, I'm not doing it anymore, plus a charge and all that. So please spend your time, and it does take time, lots of time. But make sure you isolate each one of these anywhere you go. Same thing with these copper tubes. Anywhere that they're just going to rattle and rub on something, they're soft. They're just copper. They wear out. So I know up here they're touching, but we're going to wrap that with butyl, so there won't be any rattling. The rest of them I made sure didn't touch here, underneath on this side. There were some places it touched. Now this particular line is the way GM did it. I don't like it, but it'll be okay. It goes through this bracket, and there's a clamp that, I don't know how to explain it, but one end goes in the metal, and then the other end kind of pinches down on this side. Those clamps are not my favorite because it's direct metal to aluminum. And we talk about galvanic corrosion. It's not the ideal situation. I put paint in there, grease it, anything you can do to keep them from touching. But if you put anything thicker in there than paint, you won't get that clamp on. And those clamps are tight. It's not going to let this aluminum rattle in the metal. If this vibrates, it's going to vibrate the metal. So that's okay. I know I've already carried on a lot about this. I can't express the importance enough to you. So I've got that on, our brackets on, the bolts are mostly tight. When I get done with this whole thing, I'll go back around and tighten everything one last time. I want to leave it loose so I can continue to do my fitment and let things slide around. I did buy the appropriate belt for this, but for some reason, and I think it's that valve cover plug that's on this, those are the original ones, I think, but it hits it and the belt just won't quite fit. So I'm going to have to go one size bigger. That's not a big deal. I'm just going to log that in my book so that me or the next guy goes to replace it. If you can't read the numbers, it's in the book because it's not the stock one. That does kind of bum me out. But again, let's not hang up on every little thing. Let me show you what I'm working on next. Well, that'll be this thing. But right now I'm working on these lines and they bolt through the battery box down here. And I'll show you, but that's steel on steel clamp with the aluminum in the middle. Not fond of that at all. And that is generally where these have a problem. So I'll show you how to mitigate that. Here on the bench, by the way, thanks, honey. I don't drink much pop, but a little Coke once in a while is kind of good. Pepsi, whatever you drink. Here is the bracket. It's just a steel bracket. There's a large line and a small line. And that aluminum, I just got an old one here to show you. This aluminum, it's still metal, but it's soft. This clamps directly under there. You can see the fit is not that great. And if this corner, which hasn't been rounded out or anything, it's just factory, if that's cutting on it a little bit and it rubs back and forth a little bit, it won't take long to eat through that. So what I like to do, I don't know if you guys keep spare inner tube around, but if you ever come across an old tractor inner tube or something, I keep this around all the time for this very reason. Just cut you a piece off, couple pieces. This is really thin yet durable. So it's the perfect, let me see, the perfect, I don't know, isolator for this kind of thing. All I'm going to do is put a piece of that right in here. I put some butyl down just to hold it. As soon as you tighten it down, that butyl will squeeze right out. But it does hold it so I'm not dropping it on the floor while I'm working on it. The side, perfect. This will keep that aluminum from touching the metal, and it'll keep it from cutting as well as galvanic corrosion. So we've solved two of our issues very quickly with just a small piece of inner tube. You could use bicycle inner tube or anything else. The tractor one is a little thicker. In this particular situation, I think the bicycle tire would have been better, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'll cut two of these for the other side of the bracket. We'll go back over there and see if we can get her put together. There we go. I'm all set. Let's go over there. So here we are with this piece. You know, these wires are in my way, but whatever. We're dealing with this metal bracket underneath here. Now I put some butyl under there too. We just want to keep that isolated. The big one's on that side, isn't it? Yeah, like this. So I'm just gauging how far back I need to put that rubber underneath the battery box. And this goes right about there. Now again, none of my lines are tight on purpose. If I can move them, see what I mean? Grab this bolt, goes from underneath. Got a washer. Yeah, just I wanted you guys to watch me fiddle around with stuff. This whole job is this kind of thing right here. Just takes time and fights you a little bit. This is one of them deals where you're almost confident it's not even going to fit. I've had that issue with this I should say several times. Oh, the bracket's there. You live and learn. All right, there it is. It's just you got to hold the bracket, the screw, 2 lines and then line it up with this bolt. It's a piece of cake. No, it's not. What's helpful is if you had your wrench handy or a helper in the shop that would run over and get what you need, but I try to keep my tools handy so I can kind of get this 5 things at once done. Why do I videotape this stuff I know is not going to go good? I guess so you guys can see how hard it is. So when you do it, you don't think it's too hard for you. Everybody deals with this if you're doing this. Did I tell you don't do this? Do my work. Oh, for crying out loud, take it. Yes, I got 2 pieces of rubber in there and some butyl, so I should have just grabbed a longer bolt. All right, I got it. I'm done complaining. Whew. But now I know there's rubber between all of that. Just snugging it up. I want to be able to slide these lines in and out if I need to. Now the next thing I'm worried about, again, this is GM's way. This line, as you can see, is touching the fender. Just a little. But it's already got a pretty nice bend to it. I hate to kink it anymore, but I don't want it rubbing on that fender. So when I tighten everything down, that bolt will be one of the last things to just make sure I pull this off that fender a little, just enough for a piece of paper to slide through. Same thing with this one, it's got a kink to it. After I get my belt on, I can manipulate these hoses a little bit more so they're not rubbing, they're not touching each other. We'll be in good shape. Let's look at the front. All right, this is where those 2 lines come out. This one obviously isn't set right, but again, nothing's tight, so I can twist this without kinking my hoses. Tighter than I thought it would be. I just put them tight by hand. Well, I said it wasn't tight. Finger tight. It's pretty tight today. Really? Okay, I didn't put a wrench on it. But you can see this will fit. I can manipulate this around. And I've got everything lined up pretty much where I need it to go. I'm not going to do this today, right this minute, because as soon as I unhook these, I want to put these lines right on, and I immediately want to start vacuuming out the system to get the moisture out. So we're going to leave these for right now, but those are all lining up. All the bolts are loose everywhere. I can get these on and get my compressor all hooked up. I'm going to work on that soon, actually probably today. And then when I get tighten every one of these, lock everything in and start vacuuming the system out. Just to kind of wrap things up, folks, for this week, I want to touch on a couple things. I forgot what it's called now. The valve, TPS, TIP, whatever it is. This valve here that goes to this temperature control, it was a little shorter. I mean, like 2 or 3 threads on a bolt shorter, maybe 1/8 of an inch, and it hit my bracket. Because the shorter doesn't line up with GM brackets. So I had to just tweak my bracket a little bit. Not a big deal. Pair of pliers, give it just a little move, just a little twist, right? Yeah, no problem. Everything's a problem. Once I twisted that, it took this screw, and it's a pointy screw for that clamp, and it made it, I mean, there's room. This is what is this? A ruler, basically. And you can slip a ruler in there, so it's not touching the rubber. But I can't leave that sharp screw pointed right at the middle of that rubber, whether it touches or not. So I either got to take the screw out and cut it off, or slip in here with some kind of grinder cutter and cut the tip of that off. I don't mention that to you because it's exciting or a big deal, but it's just one of those things that when you're redoing a system, whether you're using an original or not, because there's no original, come on. Nobody has any of this old stock left over. So you're using somebody's replacement. It's the best that they can do in the manufacturing they're doing today. I'm not mad about it, but there's just all these things I want you to pay attention to. I need to pay attention to so that I don't poke holes in this stuff and have an issue 2 years down the road thinking, you know, what now? Did all this work? Let's just enjoy it. There's that. This POA system has this extra little electronic part down here you probably can't see, because I've spent my time bending all the metal down and It's got a temperature thing on it too, whatever they call those. I can't think of it right now. So it'll plug in down here and nobody's going to be able to see it tucked back in there. Also, we'll deal with this another day, but I didn't realize that the heater hoses were right in line with these air conditioner lines. Now they probably just go around it pretty easy, but man, it could have seems like it could have designed that better. Just some things to think about. Pay attention to those details. You know, what was the old phrase? And I love old phrases. Devil's in the details. And boy, is that true, especially on something like this when you're dealing with aluminum lines or rubber tubing. Something to think about. Haste makes waste. I don't want to use up all the old phrases in one video, but those are important things. So I'm wrapping it up this week. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your comments. Folks, have a good week. We'll see you next week because I got to go.